Pranks can be fun, whether they're on your high school buddies, your civilian coworkers, or soldiers in the United States Army. Now, the pranks that are probably done on soldiers in the Army are different than the ones you probably would play on your friends in the civilian world, so probably got to explain those a little bit. We're going to be starting off with the exhaust sample, and before I dive into that one, well, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, make sure you're clicking on that bell so you can become a part of that awesome notification platoon and join in and get alerts and find out about new videos and stay everything up to date. Let's talk about now exhaust samples. So is where this comes from. Let's say if you have vehicles that you're responsible for, trucks, tanks, whatever in the motor pool, well, there are a lot of things you have to kind of keep up with. Maintenance on the vehicle, taking care of that vehicle, and a very real thing you have to do is do an oil sample, which involves taking a little bottle and collecting a little bit of oil from that vehicle to turn it into maintenance so that way they can do some samples on it and make sure that that vehicle is still running well. Kind of from that comes this prank, and the exhaust sample, usually the way it goes is you have a soldier get maybe a trash bag and catch some of that exhaust into the trash bag and then tie it off. Sometimes I've even seen soldiers where they will have them, write the bumper number of the vehicle onto the bag, but then from there, this bag filled with exhaust from that vehicle, that soldier takes it over to maintenance to turn it in for an exhaust sample. So what happens after that? I mean, sometimes the maintenance people laugh it off and fill the soldier in on the joke that they've been pranked on, or I've even seen it sometimes where maintenance kind of gets in on it and maybe gives the soldier a follow-on joke to go and continue messing with the soldier and send them back to their NCOs. I've seen it where they're like, hey, cool, thanks for the exhaust sample. However, I'm going to need an ID-10 Tango form from your NCOs. So go ask your NCOs if they can give you an ID-10 Tango form to fill out. And if you didn't catch that one, it's actually on this shirt, but that actually ends up spelling out idiot when you try to write it out. Another one you might hear about is the Humvee keys. Maybe an NCO tells a soldier, hey, go get with maintenance, go get with this person or whatever to get the Humvee keys, or go find the Humvee keys over in the office or something, right? There's a lot of kind of possibilities of how soldiers might use the Humvee keys, but let me explain how this one ends up kind of working out in the first place. If you're not familiar with military vehicles, they don't actually have like an ignition like you would have on a civilian vehicle where you have to put a key inside of it and turn it. And in fact, actually most civilian vehicles don't have that anymore, at least the newer ones. They're all push button. And that's kind of similar to how a lot of military vehicles work because they don't want to have a situation where you're filling with some keys to get that vehicle to start. They just usually have to turn on a battery that supplies power and maybe press a button or whatever the case is to turn that vehicle on. Now, there is some times where you lock up the vehicle and you might have keys for that lock to lock the vehicle up, but usually the prank that they're trying to get to is to start up the Humvee. So they need to get the Humvee keys so they can start the Humvee, they can run it, they can move it, whatever they need to do. Well, a Humvee doesn't obviously take keys to start. It has this little switch that you have to go and flip over into like an on position to kind of warm up the vehicle or warm up the glow plugs and kind of get it prepared and then move it over to kind of start it, and it kind of cranks over then. So it doesn't require an actual key itself. But like I said, you will sometimes have like a vehicle that has like a lock on the steering wheel with a cable to keep the vehicle from being able to be turned with the steering wheel so that way nobody can steal the vehicle hopefully. But as far as actually starting the vehicle, that does not require keys. So the soldier ends up on some wild goose chase looking for the Humvee keys when there's never any keys in the first place. If you've ever used chem lights before, you're probably not going to fall for this one. This one's a little bit tougher to get someone to fall for because even in the civilian world, people play with chem lights, right? You have the little chemical lights that you crack open and it creates a chemical reaction and they glow for X amount of hours and you can be able to use it for Halloween, you can use it for camping, whatever the case might be. So this one, you have to get someone that's probably pretty gullible to fall for this one sometimes, but nonetheless, these things do not take batteries, so that's part of the joke, I guess, is trying to get them to have to make a fool out of themselves by going to ask somebody for Chemlight batteries. Just like I've seen a lot of civilian pranks with having your spouse or your friend or something like that go inside of an automotive store to ask for blinker fluid. Now, the fun thing is, with that one, I've seen that there are some Autoport stores that sell like blinker fluid as like a joke, and I've actually heard of some people finding like some chem lights that take batteries and be able to mess with people in that way, and they're really just like these rods that take batteries and they glow and they kind of look like chem lights, and so then they kind of are able to kind of play off of that. But if we're talking about real chem lights, obviously those don't take batteries. One that I'm more commonly seen in kind of like tanker units or armor units, and that is checking for soft spots on the vehicle. I have occasionally seen it with other units too, with like armored vehicles, but the prank goes that you might tell a soldier, hey, I need you to check for soft spots in the armor. So they give them a hammer and a piece of chalk, and they're going around the vehicle, tapping on it, and if they hear some kind of strange sound, like maybe it sounds a little hollow, sounds a little bit different than the rest of the vehicle, they need to mark it with some chalk to let them know where these soft spots are at on the armor. I have actually seen this one in play maybe once at my first duty station at Fort Riley, and there was some tankers, they were messing with a brand new soldier, and he was going around this tank, with a little hammer and some chalk and marking little X's all over this tank because there were certain parts of the tank that maybe made a little bit of a different sound maybe than other parts did. So he thought that was those soft spots that they were talking about. I have heard this with like other trucks too. You have other vehicles that have armor as well. And so I've heard about, 88 Mikes or other soldiers that get pranked with this one, and they're tapping around on that vehicle trying to find these soft spots, and they're marking all these points on the vehicle, and someone else comes across them, maybe the first sergeant, the sergeant major, asking the soldier what the hell they're doing, and then they end up telling them, oh, checking for soft spots. So that one I've also heard. There's a ton of other kind of pranks, and you guys have probably heard of some of them, right? You got squelch juice, for your commo individuals. You got grid squares. You got flight line. You've got a prick E7 or something. There's all sorts of ones, and I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section down below. What are some pranks that you've heard of? Some pranks that maybe have been pulled on you, some pranks that you've pulled on other soldiers. I want to hear about them down in the comment section down below. Now, additionally, if you maybe want to be able to have a chance to get back at somebody for pulling a prank on you, or you just want to pull a fun prank on a friend, coworker, fellow soldier, whatever you want to do, I actually have a link down below for an affiliate link for Amazon for this little device that I thought would be pretty funny to maybe play a joke on someone. And it's a little device that makes a sound randomly, either a beeping sound or a cricket sound. And you can hide it somewhere and drive someone nuts. And apparently the battery can last up to 3 years. So you can probably really mess with someone hiding that inside of, their office cubicle, inside someone's barracks room, maybe in their vehicle, whatever the case is. Drive them nuts, support the channel a little bit from the small commission fee that I make off of Amazon. So check that link out down below. Now, I don't want your viewing experience to stop. I got a lot of great videos that you should definitely check out. And in fact, right here is a video that YouTube says that is probably best fitted for you. So you should probably go ahead and check it out. Check out my links down in the description box for social media, the Discord channel, all that stuff. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.